All right, so what we're going to do here, the goal is to get this carbon fiber veil with fiberglass on top of it to reinforce the floor. So what we're going to do is I've got this in here dry because I took an iron while this was outside of the boat and ironed it to where it took any wrinkles out of it. What I will do is I will go in and I will put epoxy and I will start in the middle and I'll work my way from the center out. Once I get that wetted out while it's in the boat, then I'll come back with an oversized, and I can't express that enough, an oversized piece of fiberglass that will go over. And the reason why I want it just slightly oversized is because if I only cut it out to fit just in this pattern right here, it's not helping reinforce anything. The bottom of it could still fall out. So what I do is I take the oversize and run it up the wall. So that way it'll connect the floor to this cross member or whatever you want to call it, and the same thing on the sides. So once I get this wetted out, I lay the fiberglass in, then I come back with the brush and I will press it down into it. And you will see where that it was wet enough that it'll penetrate through the fiberglass up at the top. So you can see, kind of wet this out while it's in the boat. Make sure it penetrates all the way through. So we want to get all the way through that fabric to get to the bottom. So you can see it's soaking it up pretty good. So you're just going to have to continue to add to it. All right, so you can see I have my fiberglass that was already pre-cut out. It's oversized. So what I will do is I will start in the middle. I'll press down and I'll see how it pulls through. So then I'll start pushing it down. You gotta be kind of easy with it because it will walk on you if you're not careful. So now that it's going up the sides, it's going to tie that floor straight to the actual structure of the boat. Now sometimes it might get a little dry. So what do? If it doesn't wet it out completely, you just add some more epoxy. That's when I wet it out enough. You will kind of, after you do a few of these, you will start to realize, but you can see how it real nicely gets that in there. You also want to cut this fiberglass at a 45, so that way it'll go up in these corners so much nicer. So you can see how well that went. Gotta get these edges, so I'll push it down in there. Certain people call this stippling or stapling. I'm not sure if there's a true name for that. You also have to watch out for those little brushes or those tips coming off. So this one I have laid down as well. So we'll push down in the middle, see if it'll wet through as it did. Sorry, I don't have the best camera skills here of holding it to show, but I think you get the idea. So you can see here we are again. I've got it laid over. It's oversized, draped over on the back, the front, and the sides. Start in the middle. I'll push down and get that to where it'll kind of stay in place. Because once it starts wetting through this fiberglass, you don't want to start tugging on it because it will stretch. So now I'll go back and I'll work my way out. Take some time, but man, the finished product is good. So what do we do after this is cured? What you're going to end up doing after this is cured is you're going to try and any excess fiberglass like these pieces here, I will sand those to where those are nice. And then what I will do is I will take a red scrubby and I will come back and I will scrub all the fiberglass area, blow it off with air, and then that way whenever you go to clear it, it's going to look like glass. And as you can see, it turned out pretty nice. Sometimes you got to watch these edges over here because they want to pull up. And you just go back. Can't always get it perfect, but daggone, we can try. Now, I will highly suggest when you do this as well, make sure you go on and have it on a flat table, because when it dries and cures, I mean, it's going to keep that shape of the boat, so you want to make sure it's on a flat table. Here's why I like cutting out paper templates, because after I cut out the paper template to fit exactly for the carbon fiber veal, then I can come back with the fiberglass laid on top of it and cut on the outside to oversize it. So much easier that way. So now, one of the toughest parts is getting the transom. So what I would normally do is, after I glue everything to make sure that it's staying in place, I will just go on and stand the boat up, and I'll work on the transom that way. So now with the transom, what I did is I overlaid that, so now it's going to connect the transom to the floor, because I oversized it. So it might not be much that's grabbing it, but at least it's draping over. And then this piece that I put in here that's going to be fiberglass will over drape into that way, because the whole point is we're trying to get everything to stay together. Now you can see where it's draped over, so it's connected the transom to the floor. I already wetted all this out, so whenever I stood it up, it wouldn't fall out. So now all I've got to do is put the fiberglass in here. So one thing that I haven't talked about, what do I use? I use West Systems 207 and the 105. Gives me a good 25 to 30 minute work time. I do thin it out with just a little bit of denatured alcohol. Some people do 1-to-1. I do 50% denatured to a 1 time of the 207 that is on the pumps. So, hey, take a look at this. See this right here? See, that's kind of got a little bit of excess epoxy. Take a paper towel. It's just this simple. Just wipe it off. Man, that'll save so much sanding time. Insane. All right, let's see how good we can do this here. So you can see I've already got them draped over in the middle. Here in the transom, I got the piece on the back on the transom. So I'm going to come back through. I'm trying to get this started here. You know, I have to give credit. This is stuff that I have picked up from people from Buckshot, Stu Barr, Brian Spitzer, different builders across the ways. So hopefully this will help somebody else out, because this is one of those deals that we can only make the hobby better if we help each other, show different techniques. So yeah, hopefully this might help out somebody. Just remember, use some long-lasting epoxy, or I guess I should say long pot life. You don't want to use any like 10 or 15-minute epoxy. At least want to use the 30. You do not have to thin it out, but I tend to like that, because what I actually did is I have 2 pieces of carbon fiber veal that are the 0.3, so that should be a total of 0.6, and then I used the 0.2 fiberglass from Fiberglast. So anyhow, if there's any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to me. Would love to help out. All right, so here is the finished product at the moment. So remember, West System 207, 105, or something that's longer than, or that takes about 30 minutes to cure. You definitely want to make sure you take your time. I go on and make sure that I actually cut out the templates, as I showed you earlier, the reason why I do that. After, this has probably been about 15 minutes after I did this, I kind of go back through and just double check these edges to make sure that they haven't lifted in any corners. And if they do, I just go back and just kind of push back down. But basically, I'm waiting before I do the center section, because I'll make some type of breastplate, depending on after I get the actual top put on this, so that way I can put the top on, make sure it's all square, and then I'll cut out this part and this part for the pipe. Then I'll decide where I will put my motor. So anyhow, this makes it real nice to where you can actually have a nice black floor if you want it. It's also going to reinforce the walls to the floor, how we were talking about oversizing. I will take a red scuff pad and really scuff this up, blow all the excess dust or any of the sanding off of it. Then whenever my guy goes to clear it, it will be smooth as glass. So hopefully this helps some of you all. And if not, I don't know what to tell you, but thanks for watching.